A question I get asked a huge amount at the moment is how can I have more impact on Zoom or other web calls? And I've been giving this a bit of thought because lots of people are telling me that they're struggling to get seen and heard and make an impact. And that as a result, they're being railroaded by louder, more assertive voices on calls and feeling that they're actually sinking backwards. So I wanted to explore this from two different perspectives. The first is your space. What do people see when you come onto a Teams or Zoom or other platform? We had a chat in the summer, you may remember, with Alex Sujong Kim Pang, and I'd suggest you look at that about all the technical aspects of that. So the height of your camera and your connection and sound, and those things are really important. But also what's important is your setting. What are you trying to say to people about who you are when they just make that split-second decision before you even say one word about who you are and whether they should listen to you? And I think it's worth taking a bit of time out this weekend or next just to think about what you want your space to communicate. Do you want something white and neutral? Do you want something that looks very creative, very dramatic? What kind of job are you working in, or what kind of role are you projecting? The next thing is to create that space, and this might look quite fancy. I mean, honestly, we've commandeered one of our kids' rooms. I had to persuade my husband to repaint it from a very dodgy blue that you'll see in a moment. And we've put together a few bits, and Billy from IKEA, which we've had for years, a set of drawers, which I think possibly my mother-in-law gave us, which have been sitting around the house, and some bits and pieces just to give it a little bit of a sense that this is our home and this is the home office. It's not a very corporate space, but, a little bit of thought has been given to it. One of the things I'd urge you to give a bit of consideration to is the space behind you, which is something actually I've learned from this vlog process, is that having some depth in the shot just looks so much better than if, for example, you have which a lot of people do, a sort of a face to a wall behind you. And at its extreme, it can kind of look quite hostage taker, it's quite threatening. I think Alex said this in the summer, but if it's too close, you don't get the right vibe at all. But a bit of space behind you can look great. And I've seen people do this with tons of space behind them, and it can look really, really amazing. So, obviously you have to think about all the practical things. You might be working from your kitchen table and have to pack away every night, or working from, a spare room, one of the kids' rooms or whatever. Just bear in mind the practicalities of it, but spend the time moving your screen around. Every time I do a Zoom interview, pretty much, I have to start by saying, maybe take the dressing gowns off the door. Could we move those papers away? Perhaps you could just turn yourself into the lights. And it is worth spending a bit of time on. The other bit that's worth thinking about is, what are we saying about ourselves when we jump onto these calls? And Ilka Dunn is a brand stylist and an expert in what we say about ourselves before we open our mouths. And I wanted to have a chat with her about how we could just lift our perceived authority just before we jump onto a call, even if we've only got a few minutes. I also persuaded Adam, our editor, to be a guinea pig, and so we could see the male and the female version of what Ilka thinks about. Have a look.
Okay, that I like.
Yeah.
The weird thing about my job is it's so shallow, and on the other hand, it's so important. The jacket color relates to your eyebrow color and your hair color. But we have a bit of tension. And tension is something that I also want to get from you. For everybody, a different aspect of styling is important. For some people, it's color, and that kind of all that matters, bright color or black. For other people, it's the style. I think your style is really important on you. A little bit more maybe than the color. So I'd rather lose on the color a little bit than on the style. Okay, much better. Now you have some swagger. The higher you button a shirt up, the more you lose individuality and creativity, and you start looking more younger, you start looking like a boy, and there's something like a choir boy in there. When you get that looseness, you look less like you want to conform, like you want to be the good boy. What's great about this outfit, it's easy. It takes you exactly a minute to put this on.
Could you explain the mechanics or psychology or meta behind this? This 3-inch?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, it looks more relaxed, more like this is your shirt, you're relaxed in your own space, you feel good in your own body, in your own skin. It gives that air of age, and age is then experience. I always say this to my female clients. It's less a problem for men, usually, but some men do look young and struggle with that. It's more women that either look too young, and we need to make them look older so that people take them seriously, or women of the age of 40 and above who starts trying to look younger. And I'm saying, that's no good. You will never look younger. Let's work with the experience that you convey. That has real gravitas. And so you're getting there right now. You have more presence. You have more gravitas in this shirt than you have when you button it all up and you go back to be looking younger. We don't need to stress you being young. I like that whole darker image, and you look so much more experienced. There's a bit of that business-like element because it's your blazer, but it's loose. It looks like it's worn, so it has credibility. It's not newly bought. Everything that we wear has to have a relation to how we look, basically our face, our hair, and you have vivid hair. If you had very slick, straight hair, you would want to wear something that has the resemblance, same surface structure in your clothing. But you need more structure because it's the same on your hair. Great thing about knowing what works for you is that you need very little. So I think for you, it's enough, especially for your Zoom calls, and men get away with less anyway, is to have that as an outfit and different versions of it.
Ilka, so I've got a call with a law firm, say, in like 5 minutes. What kind of thoughts would you have about how to have a bit of authority?
5 minutes doesn't give you much time and you don't want to stress, so play it safe. Work with what you already wear, but make the contrast really high. You're not standing for much right now. I don't know who you are. Now I'd say put on a red jacket. Great. Fantastic. It's already pulled together a lot. But I would add a little bit more codes of authority, as I call them. So add a necklace. Silver or red. I think you can do either. Perfect. It adds even more contrast. And yes, the lipstick would have been the next point I would have raised, because it facilitates communication. And especially when the sound isn't ideal, it helps a lot to read the lips as well. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I really love the red earrings.
It's a little bit more bohemian than a law firm, but could throw a scarf into it as well.
If you were really meeting somebody in an office, I'd say definitely add that. It pulls it even more together. You look very dressed up now. Normally, if you were talking to somebody, visiting somebody, I would also say wear a belt. You know, that pulls it together again. But now that's one of the accessories that is not so important anymore. Like the shoes, you can wear house shoes at the moment. Nobody will notice.
If I were doing something more fun, maybe an ad agency I was speaking to or a branding agency, where would your mind go for that?
So you can decide if it's very casual business, then you can stay that way. If you want a little bit more authority, then I would definitely wear a jacket. Oh, fantastic. Look, what works really well together is the collar of the shirt and the jacket.
What about a government office where I maybe want to look a bit friendlier and a little bit less corporate, perhaps?
Another patterned shirt, then I would say nothing monochrome. If you have a lovely friendly print, like a heart print, yeah, I think that fits the bill, because you want to be approachable and friendly, but you're also having proper blazer. And you can make it now even friendly if you wear your red blazer with that. Now, this is immediately more feminine, but I like it a lot, especially when you put the collar up. I think if you put the collar down, you see more of the dress, so you can play with that as well. More normal.
That looks more formal down, whereas more informal.
What I love about what Ilka did for Adam was that I had to jump into that call a couple of times, and every time I did so, Adam seemed a little bit more authoritative, a little bit more confident, a bit taller even. And it was really lovely to see that process in real time. And for any of you who kind of bristle at this stuff and think, do you know what, Christine? Piss off. I'll turn up in my joggers if I want to. That's fine. I'm not imposing this on anyone. This is just for anyone who feels they want to have a bit more impact. And I encourage you to experiment, see if it makes a difference for you, and let me know how you get on. See you next week.